elections among the most secure and safe in the nation. Across the state today, voters cast ballots in person in polling places where operations were largely smooth, and in absentee ballot counting boards, many of which continue to count citizens' votes as we speak. The efforts and integrity of our state's election officials and workers are ensuring that every valid vote is counted. In all, more than 1.1 million absentee ballots have been received, and we'll soon know how many people voted in person today at polling places. We also saw today more than 3,000 eligible citizens register and vote, taking advantage of the voting rights enshrined in our state constitution by voters in 2018. So what comes next? Well, first, I want to remind everyone that absentee ballot counting boards are continuing their work this evening. Larger jurisdictions are still counting ballots received prior to today, and all jurisdictions with counting boards will receive ballots later this evening because voters had up until 8 p.m. Eastern or local time today to return them. Once those ballots are all returned, then they are validated at the clerk's office before they are transported to the counting board for processing and counting. This is an important multi-step process and one that we cannot and will not shortcut. It calls for the patience of everyone watching the unofficial results throughout the evening to understand that the winner of each election contest will be decided only by a full counting of every valid vote. That said, our election infrastructure has handled this amount of absentee ballots before, and I'm confident, based on our past experiences, that they will provide unofficial results as soon as possible. Depending on how close some of the individual races are, some may be called tonight, while others may be too close to call until sometime tomorrow, when we expect all absentee ballots across the state will have been counted. Now I want to talk about what else we should expect to unfold in the days ahead. Once every valid ballot is counted and the unofficial results are released, election officials will shift their attention to election canvassing. This is the process whereby they review all election processes, procedures, and results to confirm accuracy and proper protocols that were followed today and throughout the election cycle and correct any clerical errors. This work is overseen in each county by a bipartisan board of county canvassers. These individuals, appointed by political parties, will also conduct any recounts and then have a legal obligation to ultimately certify any final results. After they have done so, the Board of State Canvassers then conducts its own review of the processes, procedures, and accuracy of the elections, and then votes to certify its findings, which are then the final and official results. After that has occurred, some county clerks will conduct voluntary post-election audits, and the Bureau of Elections will support them in this to identify and refine best practices that can be shared with clerks all across the state. Now, I want to remind everyone that during this canvass process, it is common for vote tallies to sometimes change slightly from the initial unofficial results. This may happen, for example, when provisional ballots are confirmed valid and then counted. In past elections, specifically in 2020, we've seen individuals with political agendas try to mislead the public by saying that any change or alteration in vote totals is somehow evidence of wrongdoing. But that is simply not true. What it is evidence of is the hard work and diligence that goes into affirming and reaffirming that only valid votes were counted and that the machines accurately tabulated each validated ballot. It is in fact evidence that our election system is tremendously robust and has checks and balances built in to identify and correct any issues before results are finalized and officially certified. And so my message to Michigan tonight is twofold. First, thank you. Thank you for participating in the primary election, and please join me in thanking the thousands of clerks, local election officials, and poll workers working long hours this week to make democracy work for everyone. And second, I want to assure you that the counting and canvassing processes in this election will be carried out, as they are in every election, in accordance with the law. Their ballots will be counted, and the ultimate results will be an accurate, full reflection of the will of the people of Michigan. Thank you again for joining me tonight, And now I'm happy to take a few questions.
Can you talk about the issues that you did see today?
I'm sorry?
Could you talk about the issues that we did see today?
Sure. There were a few issues throughout the state that have largely been covered by local media outlets. These were general occurrences dealing with, for example, in Inkster. I'll give an example. In Inkster today, we learned early in the day that a few precincts had opened without e-poll books. This was one of the things we learned thanks to the fact that we had individuals all throughout the state from our office and the Bureau of Elections on the ground ready to anticipate or observe any issues and quickly address them, which was exactly what happened here. We worked alongside the county clerk, and I want to also thank the Wayne County Clerk Kathy Garrett for her quick response and her team's really effective response to this issue. They determined the issue was present at all 11 precincts in the city's 8 polling locations, and work began immediately to rectify the issue. Within 1 hour of that work beginning, all precincts had a voter file that they could then use to continue the election. Anyone who arrived before that voter file was present at the precinct was verified as eligible to vote before they were provided ballots through the general application to vote process, and subsequent verification after the list arrived of each individual who had previously participated confirmed that there was not a single person who was not eligible to cast a ballot who did so. In other words, we've been able to confirm that despite the challenges this morning in Inkster, that only eligible voters have cast their ballots, and will continue to be able to assure that throughout the post-election canvassing process.
Mr. Secretary, I know that it's still early, but I'm wondering if you've noticed, now that we're kind of 2 years into the pandemic, have there been any kind of trends that you're seeing maybe shift from maybe what we saw in 2020 in terms of just the voting habits of Michigan voters?
We have indeed seen Michigan voters embrace their option to vote from home. That's why you've seen over 1.1 million citizens vote absentee in this election, and 3.3 million citizens vote absentee in 2020. It seems even as the pandemic is in its waning stages, citizens are still choosing to vote from home, vote absentee, and as a result, we will continue to ensure that their right to do so will be protected and easily accessible for everyone.
In terms of, you brought up in the past was kind of the issues of election day kind of threats and kind of that activity. To your knowledge, have there been any arrests that are related to maybe election day interference?
There were a couple of things. For example, an unidentified backpack in one precinct that was quickly addressed and investigated. So there were some responses to things, and in every instance we saw that things were able to be swiftly addressed. In other words, there were no disturbances throughout the day, which I'm very grateful for. This was, as it was in 2020, a smooth election day that really is a result of so many election workers throughout the state embracing their role and doing their job with pride. I talked with election workers in Detroit, for example, today, and saw that really is a result of the increased scrutiny and attention of elections and election procedures. Poll workers have risen to the task to ensure that they've met the moment and they've really embraced their role and responsibility to protect the elections process. So it was actually quite inspiring to see us as an election community essentially become stronger as a result of a lot of the challenges we faced over the last few years, and I anticipate that strength will increase in the years ahead.
Now, speaking of those kind of Detroit election workers and maybe things that were going on here, in the past there have been issues with like precinct closures, kind of that maybe were unscheduled. People show up to their polling location with like a sign on the door. Was there anything that you heard today that resembled that?
Not really. I mean, again, we'll continue perhaps to hear reports through in the days ahead, but we had a fairly robust team in the field today, all throughout the state, ready to rapidly respond to things just like that. And we worked closely with nonpartisan partners who also had individuals, volunteers all throughout the state, ready to identify and respond to problems if they occurred. So through that, I can confidently say that there were very minimal issues like that. And if we received any notification of an issue, like the example I brought up in Inkster, we were able to address it swiftly, which was really our goal. I mean, we can't stop bad things from happening, but we can ensure that they have minimum impact and damage and have minimum damage to the process. So in every election, we seek to essentially deter any challenges ahead of time, but be prepared to address them quickly and swiftly if they do occur before they have a larger impact. And that's exactly what we were ready to do today. And when issues arose, we were able to do successfully. Yeah.
Ben Warner with them Live. So just to confirm, there was no one removed or arrested from the
Correct.
polling place today. And then also, pretty smooth election, but because these small things, misinformation does arise, your message to people who may be trying to capitalize on that misinformation and for folks who may not know the difference.
Well, we continue to see, a lot of smooth election procedures happening, and we have many layers, secure layers of protocols in place in our elections to ensure that if citizens sincerely want to know the truth and have faith in the process, there's an abundance of truth for them and facts for them and evidence of the reliability of our election results and the accuracy of their results for them to learn about. I'm grateful for the many clerks who've stepped up, increasing the transparency of their office, going above and beyond to respond to any issues as they've arisen, with an eye towards, again, ensuring citizens are equipped with truth. And we've received reports to our own misinformation portal through misinformation@michigan.gov, and we've continually updated our SOS fact check page as a result. So to any voters hearing questions or allegations about our elections, I want to assure them that our elections are secure. And if they have any questions about actual specific incidents that may or may not have occurred, they can submit them to misinformation@michigan.gov for a full investigation, or simply visit michigan.gov/SOS fact check, because it's highly likely we've already addressed and debunked rumors and innuendo that's out there.
Secretary, I guess, what's the takeaway from today heading into November?
The takeaway I've seen really in the months leading up to today, and what I anticipate will follow, is that Michigan's elections are secure and safe, and the results are an accurate reflection of the will of the people. We've seen a lot of challenges over the last few years. We see a lot of candidates trying to stoke fires and spread seeds of doubt about the security of our processes, but that has not affected the truth, which is that our processes are secure. And if anything, it's had the effect of causing more of us in the election community to step up, do more to increase the transparency of our processes and ensure that voters have ample access to information about the security of our elections and the accuracy of our results. Thank you all again for being here tonight. Happy Election Day, and I'm sure I'll see you again soon.